Well, Claressa is the best thing that ever happened to me, man.
Now, I do want to get into this before we let you go. It's been refreshing, and also probably annoying is dealing with the new relationship, right? And then everybody popping out and having their opinions, because it seems like, again, rumor mill, and they're putting Claressa through it all. Like every day they got something to say. How has this been for you, this journey with the quote?
Well, Claressa is the best thing that ever happened to me, man. You know what I'm saying? Gotta say that, man. Definitely one of the best things that ever happened in my life. Very beautiful, very outgoing. So much love, man. So much fun. Smart.
Come on.
You know what I mean? People don't know. They don't know, man. You know what I'm saying? Just a blessing in my life, man. Love her to death.
Now listen, we definitely are about to get into some psychology. And this time we are not letting those dark shades in this interview get past us. And although the shades are not the subject, they definitely will be the backdrop of this entire situation. But before we get started, let me just say this. I am not a licensed psychologist and I'm not diagnosing anyone in this video. I am talking a little crap though. I am, however, a passionate student of psychology who is endlessly fascinated by human behavior, whether it's everyday people, celebrities, politicians, athletes, influencers, public figure, whoever it is. I'm interested in understanding the why behind the behavior. So when I analyze someone, I'm not claiming to know what's happening inside their mind. I'm looking at observable patterns, things people consistently say, do, and repeat over time. And I'm discussing those patterns through the lens of both classic and modern psychology. Think of this as a psychological conversation, not a diagnosis. My goal isn't to label people. My goal is to better understand human behavior, encourage critical thinking, and hopefully give you another perspective to consider. Because baby, at the end of the day, none of us can know with certainty what's happening inside another person's mind. Now, we can examine the patterns that they consistently present to the world and we can judge, okay? Because I do judge. And with that being said, it's your girl Nyla and I'm back with another video. Welcome back to the Vibers, the Blue Heart Gang. And if you're just getting here for the first time, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, click those notification bells so that you can know every time I go live or when I do another upload. Because now we are in a relationship and yeah, we got to get into this bullshit. So Claressa Shields' psychology has been the topic of my discussions as of late. But I did tell you guys that I'm going to start a series specifically breaking down Papoose's psychology. So consider this the first installment. Although if you go through my playlist, I do have some pretty good videos specifically addressing some of his psychology, some of his moves, and the patterns that he has that need to be examined extremely close. Do me a favor so that I know I am producing the content that you guys want to see. Just stop right now if you're watching the playback or if you're in the premiere and let me know, yes, we want more of Papoose's psychology. It'll really make me happy if you just say, break this B down. So my team and I have been doing a lot of research on this topic. And I also want y'all to understand something. There are real jewels and nuggets in these conversations that can help you recognize patterns in your own life, in your relationships, your family, your job, whatever, maybe even within yourself. So don't just watch this as entertainment. Take what resonates, apply what serves you, and leave here with a deeper understanding of human behavior. That's really what I want. And no, this isn't the regular schmegular We Hate Claressa channel, because we don't. What we do is love psychology. We love examining patterns, contradictions, defense mechanisms, and the way people navigate the world. Claressa is simply a public figure who shares a great deal of her life, and that gives us plenty of real-world behavior to discuss through a psychological lens. Muffin, look, if tomorrow someone else consistently displayed fascinating behavioral patterns, we'd be talking about their asses too. This has never been about tearing someone down. It's about asking better questions, recognizing patterns, and using those observations to become more emotionally intelligent in our own lives. Because if all we do is gossip, we've learned nothing. But if we can leave every conversation with a new insight about human behavior, then we all got something a little valuable and we all got something to brag about, right? Now here comes the fun part. We're going to take a listen at this conversation that Papoose was having with Sway Universe. And what we're going to hone in on is what Papoose thinks about age gap relationship, or more importantly, how he feels about his own daughter dating a man that is older than her. Because the last thing that we would want from Mr. Black Love, father of the golden child, is to have to view him through a hypocritical lens using his own understanding and words. Let's get into this mess.
Queen, your dedication to your black woman.
Yes.
And your beautiful kids. Those kids are so confident in themselves, man. I'll never forget when I met them at SOBs. They didn't want to take a picture with me. Pap, you remember that? They didn't want to take a picture. Pap was like, get in it. You don't know.
You don't know who the hell this is? Are you kidding me?
It was like, nah, that ain't TJ. Is that little TJ?
That's how the kids are. You know, they stay stuck in their little age group. I had to school them real quick.
Right.
Like, you know who the hell this is?
Yeah, they took the picture begrudgingly. I was like,
who this man?
Right,
and it's like, we can get your IG likes up real quick right now. Who this man?
I remember telling Remy that. She was like, yeah, that's right, Sway. Yo, man, it's amazing, though. I want to talk about this new position you have, but how are you? How are you doing?
I'm great, man. I'm great, brother. Always, you know what I mean, great to be in amazing company around you guys.
Thank you.
Know what I'm saying? So I'm in a great space.
Are you having parental challenges yet? What kind of challenge? Because the kids are getting older and they know who they are.
I've seen tons of parental challenges, man. Forget about it, man. Like, whoa, I've seen it. Believe me. Like I've had a boyfriend that I didn't like. I dealt with that.
Oh no!
How'd you deal with that?
I'm sure all the fathers out there can relate to that.
But how'd you deal with it? Like,
I dealt with it. I took it head on.
Okay.
I took it head on because a lot of people told me not to. I was like, yo, you can't do that. You know, you can't go to people's houses.
Oh, you went to that?
Yeah, I did because I wanted to speak to his parents.
Okay.
Oh, what didn't you like about him?
A lot of things I didn't like about him. Just wasn't a good dude. I had seen him one time talking to my daughter. You know what I'm saying? And I asked him, like, yo, do you live here? Because it's like a building. You know what I'm saying? At the time, and he said no. So I just asked him to leave, and he left with no problem. Just not a good dude.
A good energy, right?
Yeah. Long story short, it continued, and as it continued, I said, you know what? I think I need to speak to his parents.
Yeah.
And I went over there to speak to his parents.
How did that go? That's the kind of things we need to do more of that.
But what age, if you don't, around what age was this kid?
Well, around that time, he was like about maybe like, I say like a year and a half or 2 years older than my daughter.
I know you effing lying.
I say like a year and a half or 2 years older than my daughter. I say like a year and a half or 2 years older than my daughter. I say like a year and a half or 2 years older than my daughter. Yeah. That's another thing I didn't like.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying? And
Baby, let me tell you, first and foremost, this interview is 3 years old and he was still with Remy. In fact, I'll go ahead and play a little bit more of the clip because he goes on to talk about Remy a little bit. And I want you to just notice the difference of when he speaks on Remy versus when he speaks on Claressa. But baby, let me tell you, this floored me, okay? Because as soon as he said this, all I could think about was this tweet from last year. Remy said, if you just turned 30 and allegedly just met someone 8 months ago that is 47 years old that I knew since you were 10 and was married to them since you were 13, and he has 4 biological children, one age 28 but will be 29 this year, one age 25 and another one age 24 but will be soon 25 this year as well, and a 6-year-old baby, and currently promising you a newborn while finally agreeing to divorce 18 hours, 54 minutes, and 3 seconds ago. Please refrain from speaking. But anyways, you did hear that, right? Papoose has a problem with a young man being 2 years older than his daughter. So Chanel was not 21 yet when this happened, but she was nearing 18 years old. So it's still kind of shady, in my opinion, that he can recognize 2 years as a problem. Now let's really get into it, because as you know, he is 17 years older than the woman that he's dating. And that woman, of course, would be none other than Claressa Shields. Now, most fathers have issues with men that are older dating their girls. And it literally is because a lot of them can see themselves in other men. It's because they understand what their intentions are for women that are younger than them. They recognize the power dynamics, and they know that typically when men are older, they're a little bit more experienced, and they will exploit a younger woman if given the chance. Fortunately enough for Chanel Mackie, her father was present, a protector, and not willing to let his daughter risk being exploited by a man that was older and potentially more experienced. I am willing to bet that this young man is the mirror image of the type of man that Papoose is himself, which is why he was probably so triggered. So in psychology, there's this thing called protective morality versus self-serving morality. A lot of people hold one standard for protecting their own people and another one when their own desires are involved. And based on Papoose's track record, we already know that desire is probably money and, of course, clout. As a father, he reportedly viewed a 2-year age gap as concerning. Yet, if he's in a relationship with someone roughly 17 years younger, that suggests his risk assessment changes when he benefits himself. Psychologically, that's an example of situational ethics or a self-serving bias. Our principles can become a lot more flexible when we're the ones who stand to gain something from it. It's also a very classic cognitive dissonance, because two beliefs can exist at once. Older men dating younger women is very concerning when it's my baby, not my child, but my own relationship with a much younger woman is perfectly acceptable. And I'm just gonna put this out here, okay? As a blind item because I cannot reveal my source. But I was told, never mind, I'm not gonna tell it in this video. I'm gonna tell it in the next video because it's too juicy and people like to take concepts and present it as their own tea, and they won't be able to do this because I got it exclusively. You'll have to subscribe, put your notifications bells on, and wait for it because, baby, I cannot wait to tell y'all. But anyway, back to this weird cognitive dissonance that he has. So to reduce the what is uncomfortable of these conflicting beliefs, people tend to create exceptions, right? They say it's different because it's them, or they'll say, oh, well, she's real mature, or our situation isn't the same. Now, for some, that might not necessarily mean that they lying, honey, but it does mean people naturally work to make conflicting beliefs feel internally consistent with what they want and need. So age gaps aren't inherently unhealthy. Plenty of couples with significant age differences have stable, loving relationships. The psychological question isn't simply how many years apart are they, it's who has more life experience, who has more influence, who has more financial or social power, and is the standard being applied consistently.
In what ways has Papoose brought you peace?
It's like he has some experience over me as far as in like how long he's been here. So I'm being honored tonight and I'm making big deals in my career and I'm doing all this stuff, but it's like he's done it already. So when it's like I'm making decisions or having to figure things out, I can always come to him. It's almost like he's a cheat code almost. He's been like helping direct my life. And
Understanding vulnerabilities and power dynamics in relationships are very important. When you throw a 17-year age gap in there, it becomes even more important. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. It is shameful that someone that is unsuccessful in a marriage that he was in for 17 years, unsuccessful professionally, outside of what he could manage to skim from his wife's earning, goes and attaches himself to someone that is successful and that is building her career and budding, yet not even married, not even having children yet, and himself having children her same age. It is very predatory in my opinion. And I'll be honest, I'm less interested in the number of years than I am in the inconsistency. If you genuinely believed a 2-year age difference was enough to raise red flags for your daughter, how do you reconcile participating in a relationship with a much larger age gap yourself? What changed? Was it your principles or simply your position in this equation? Then there's this thing that some men have, men that kind of fit Papoose's kind of stilo. One possibility is that the relationship fills a gap in how the person sees themselves. If a man knows he's not successful in any other area that society often associates with masculinity, such as his career, his money, and his status, he may just seek validation elsewhere. Being desired by a younger, admired, or a woman of status can become a source of self-worth, especially for someone, again, that has no real accomplishments outside of who he married. The relationship isn't necessarily about love alone. It can also become part of an identity. And we've seen this become his identity before. Remy's success literally became his identity. And then he tried to merge in his Black love products and all this kind of stuff. But if you think about it, that shit flopped. The only thing that it did was kind of solidify in our minds that them as a unit was Black love, but it did not make a good return on the big investment that he had into that language. Then there's this thing called status by association. Psychologists sometimes describe this as basking in reflected glory. So basically, when you're not building your status independently, someone can take the status from you by proximity to your accomplishments. So you might sometimes hear people say, you know, that's the champ's boyfriend or that's the millionaire's husband. You know what I'm saying? And apparently he probably doesn't have a problem with this because at this point, in my opinion, he's just super grimy and out to get what he wants. And I'm telling you, the intel that I got this week literally solidified that. And then there's the obvious. Claressa is obviously psychologically vulnerable. We know that there are some mental delays and cognitive issues there. It's just obvious. And not only is it obvious, from what I understand, it has been proven. I mean, you don't get a check from the government once a month just because, okay? Those diagnoses that you get because you qualify for a certain monthly check, the diagnosis is not something that can be cured. If you had it then, you have it now. But the only thing that she has that's different is some money. So one would question, is he also being manipulative in a way that because she's so young, naive, and inexperienced, and there are some cognitive issues, that she can see him as, you know, the cheat code, like she said. She can see him as a hero or someone that she can look up to. Not to mention the game that he has played with her from the very beginning by still being married to his wife while in a relationship with her and still having extramarital affairs with other women. He's got this woman competing. She's literally competing with his wife and every other single woman because he has not yet validated her to the extent that she validates him in this relationship. We see her emphatically calling this man her husband. We see her fighting for validation and relevancy in his life, but we don't see him doing anything other than saying that, yo, she's my best friend, she's a queen, oh, she's the greatest thing that ever happened to me and all this kind of stuff, but nothing solid saying, hey, this is the end of the road for me, this is what I want, this is what I desire, I proposed. Baby, every time I get into this conversation, I keep thinking about the tea that was spilled. I'm gonna tell y'all though, don't worry. One other thing that I think that we should literally be thinking about as well is that midlife identity transition, and some people call it a midlife crisis. I think it's kind of passé to say it like that, but that's what it is. So when men and sometimes women get a little bit older, sometimes after they've raised the kids, well, in his case, he's not done raising kids, but sometimes it makes you question, you know, who am I now? Did I accomplish in life what I wanted? Am I still hot? Do I still got it? Do I still matter? And you can see that if you look on the opposite end, looking at Remy, he's seeing the same shit that we're seeing. He's seeing this woman literally turn back the clock and age backwards. He's seeing this lady's career explode the way that it did in the very beginning. He's seeing all the opportunities. He's seeing all of the public validation that this woman is getting everywhere, that he himself and his girlfriend has been searching for, begging for, and just literally trying to force people into giving them. So in a lot of ways, even just looking at Remy Ma's life through his own lens is probably gotten him questioning himself. But we also can't get around the fact that this dude got different standards for his daughter than himself, right? Many fathers become highly protective of their daughters because they're imagining potential risks from their daughter's perspective. When they're the older man, however, they may see themselves as the safe exception. That's an example of what's sometimes called an actor-observer bias. We can explain our own behavior by our own intentions, right? You know, God knows my heart, but we can still sit around and judge everyone else and move the situations by what the actual outcome makes sense to be, as opposed to what we want it to be, if that makes sense. Drop a blue heart in the chat if you feel me.
And I didn't listen because as a father, I felt like it was something I needed to take care of.
I feel that.
And I didn't listen, and I went over there, and I'm going to just say, you know, it went left, but I got my daughter back. So I was cool. I was cool with that. I ain't going to
get into it. Yeah.
But we fixed that, and that's over with. And she's in a great space and doing great, amazing things. And I love it.
Amen.
Did it bring you and your daughter closer?
Absolutely.
Yeah, seeing how your dad's a ride or die for real.
Oh yeah. Dad's gonna definitely come in the street and find out what's going on. I'm not playing from a distance. I'm not doing none of that. Yeah.
I might have to hire Pap for my some stand-in dad work for me, you know.
I mean, a lot of people think, you know, fatherhood is easy. It's very challenging.
Yeah.
You know, when you're raising a newborn child or an infant, it's a total different experience when you're raising a young adult. One cannot prepare you for the other.
Right.
So some guys out here, they have a child or two or whatever, and they feel like, oh yeah, you know, I'm a dad. It's amazing. I try to tell them, get ready. Because around 13, that's when they get rebellious.
That's what happens.
You become a different dad.
They try you.
Do you think, and I know it's hard because it's just like for fun, like do you think if it was your son, right, at this age, and it was a young lady that you were uncomfortable with, would you have had the same energy to go speak to her parents? Do you think it would have went left possibly if you would have went to go speak to her parents?
Maybe not. It probably would have been a little different. Because of like you said, it would be a young lady. But
at the end of the day, it is freaking shameful that Claressa literally has nobody. And the people that she did have, according to Claressa's former friends and Claressa herself, he's kind of isolated her. She said that Pap has removed a lot of people from around her. And we can see that she is pretty much on her own with him and the people of Win Records. So a lot of you guys have been noticing that Papoose in the last couple of years has done a lot of interviews with sunglasses on, dark sunglasses on. And some of you have asked me if there was a psychology behind why one would choose to be indoors doing an interview or a live stream or something like that with sunglasses on. And while there is a psychology behind it, I want to be careful to let you guys know that this does not mean that across the board, this is a diagnosis or a label or something that we should say is true for everybody. However, depending on the patterns, you might be able to say this might actually apply. So let's listen to the clip again, and then I'll give my piece.
Well, Claressa is the best thing that ever happened to me, man.
Now, I do want to get into this before we let you go. It's been refreshing. And also probably annoying as hell for you dealing with the new relationship, right? And then everybody popping out and having their opinions, because it seems like, again, rumor mill, and they're putting Claressa through it all. Like every day they got something to say. How has this been for you, this journey with the quote?
Well, Claressa is the best thing that ever happened to me, man. You know what I'm saying? Gotta say that, man. Definitely one of the best things that ever happened in my life. Very beautiful, very outgoing. So much love, man. So much fun. Smart.
Come on.
You know what I mean? People don't know. They don't know, man. You know what I'm saying? Just a blessing in my life, man. Love her to death.
Child. Okay, so much to that little piece of the interview, right? But just so you know, there isn't a single typical psychology of someone who wears the dark sunglasses to an interview. On its own, it's not enough to completely draw conclusions, but because interviews are built around trust, eye contact, and being able to read nonverbal cues, if you're wearing dark shades, that can communicate certain things, whether you're doing it intentionally or not. And I will say this. One interesting thing about wearing dark shades during an interview is that it removes one of the primary channels people use to assess emotion and sincerity, and that's your eyes. That choice can create an image of mystery, confidence, or even emotional distance. Even if it's not intentional or medically necessary, or if it's simply part of someone's personal style, this can't necessarily be determined by sunglasses alone. However, there is this thing called impression management, and some people use sunglasses as part of that carefully crafted image. So if you want to appear mysterious or powerful or even emotionally detached and more important than what you really are, or if you just want to be difficult to read, in psychology, this falls under impression management, and that is because the person is trying to influence how others perceive you. It's almost like a way of doing glamour magic, if you know what I mean. So there's also emotional shielding. Your eyes tell so much about your emotion, right? And covering them can function like a psychological barrier, especially if the person is lying, is anxious, if they feel vulnerable, if they're intimidated, or if they don't want you judging them. For some people, sunglasses are almost like a emotional armor. And then there's this thing called dominance signaling. Eye contact is one of the primary ways that we as human beings establish connection. This is how we establish accountability. And by removing access to your eyes, some individuals, even if it's conscious or unconsciously, you create an imbalance so that you can observe others, but they can't easily read you. This can project confidence, but it also can mean dominance, although it can come across as aloof or evasive, or for me, corny, okay? But then we have another aspect to this called persona over authenticity. And I think that this is where I am leaning outside or in conjunction with him being deceptive, right? If someone consistently wears sunglasses inside during interviews, podcasts, or even just having a conversation professionally indoors, it actually suggests that they're leading with a public persona rather than their unfiltered self. And I did notice that, yes, he's done interviews in the past with glasses on, but most of the time when we saw him with his wife, this man's eyes were clear. He typically had on clear glasses or no glasses at all. This era of Papoose not showing his eyes is very, very new. And I think it's because his mask has actually fallen a long time ago. And that's something that we as people outside, so some of us are outside of New York, obviously. But what I'm learning and where I'm getting intel is that people know who this dude is and they know what he's about. And the next couple of videos is going to be quite revealing because there is a lot of hypocrisy and, shall I say, creative storytelling with this dude, okay? It doesn't necessarily mean a person is deceptive because they wear sunglasses inside. Sometimes it is part of their brand, but again, we assess patterns, okay? But another thing that it could be is anxiety or insecurity because you lying. Ironically, you know, behaviors that sometimes look confident also can be a coping mechanism. So some people could do it because they don't like to make eye contact. They're uncomfortable being emotionally seen. And some people have social anxiety. And then some people feel more in control when they're kind of hidden. And I think that he feels more control when he's kind of hidden. And especially with certain interviewers. If you notice, when he does interviews with like Vlad, baby, those glasses are going to be on. And that is for a reason. But when he's on Drink Champs, I feel like he didn't wear glasses then because he's more comfortable with them. They're in on the quote unquote bullshit with him. And again, this is gonna be part of the tea that I'm spilling, because those men out there in New York that he's been cool with all these years on these radio stations and these podcasts, these old washed up ass rappers that he's around, they know what he's doing, as well as the rest of his inner circle. But if I have to take a wild guess and just judge someone that is being interviewed with sunglasses on, I'm automatically peeping deception. And I just have to say this, and this is a little messy, right? Think about what he was saying during the interview. That Negro had to have those eyes covered, and I'll tell you why. He referred to Claressa as smart. Now, I'm not about to call her dumb, but we know it's a big stretch if you call her smart. He also went straight to her playbook for validation. She's beautiful. She's this, she's that. She's the best thing that ever happened to me. He knows, and more than likely is getting pressure from her to start representing. There is no way she is so bothered that she's inside of comment sections everywhere and wanting to respond to people and control narratives, and she's not at home telling him that, yo, you're making me look dumb. But anyway, this concludes the first installment on Papoose. There will be another installment on tomorrow. And I hope that you enjoyed this drop. And if you like my commentary, please click like, comment, and subscribe. And if you don't like it, baby, you could still comment, you can still subscribe. Because you're bound to return and find something that will entertain you or be of intellectual benefit. I'll see you guys in the next video.